I am writing this with 3 fingers. I once had 12. The humans did not take them from me. My own people did, during the riots that followed our collapse. That is what the humans do. They do not destroy you. They make you destroy yourself. And that is far worse than any weapon ever built. My name is Vakon Sorath. I was once the Grand Archivist of the Dorvathi Ascendancy, keeper of every record, every secret, every truth, and every lie our empire ever told. The Ascendancy ruled for 12,000 years. We held 900 star systems. We had conquered 42 species and made them serve us. We believed, with every fiber of our being, that we were the greatest civilization the galaxy had ever produced. We believed we could not fall. Then we found Earth. And Earth found us unworthy of existing. I am writing this from a refugee station on the edge of neutral space. I have no title. I have no home. I have no empire. I am writing this because I need every species in this galaxy to understand what happened to us, so that none of you ever make the same mistake. This is not a history. This is a warning, carved in blood. It began with a routine survey mission. Our long-range fleet was mapping the far edge of the Orion Arm, when they found an unremarkable yellow star with a small blue planet orbiting it. The scanners picked up primitive radio signals, chemical-based propulsion systems, and a population of roughly 8 billion biological organisms. No faster-than-light travel, no energy shields, no orbital defense platforms, nothing that suggested any real capability at all. Admiral Thovan, the fleet commander who discovered them, classified Earth as a Category 0 world. In our system, that was the lowest possible rating. It meant the world was essentially helpless. Take what you want, enslave the population, strip the planet of resources, move on. We had done it dozens of times before. It was routine. The Supreme Conclave met to authorize the invasion. It was a formality. Nobody objected. I was there, sitting in my chair in the corner, recording every word, as I always did. I remember the laughter. Real, genuine laughter. When the military advisors displayed humanity's weapons on the main screen, the generals could not contain themselves. Combustion engines, chemical projectile weapons, aircraft that ran on burning fuel. These creatures still fought wars against each other, over lines drawn in dirt. One general leaned back in his seat and said they were sending too many ships. Another said it would be over before lunch. Only one person in that room said anything different. A junior analyst named Lorath Venn stood from her seat at the back and said something I have never forgotten. She said that according to the data, these humans had over 14,000 nuclear weapons pointed at each other. She said that a species willing to destroy itself was not a species that feared death. She recommended caution. They reassigned her to a cargo depot the next morning. She was the only intelligent person in that room, and we silenced her. I think about that often. We sent 4,000 warships and 2 million ground troops. It was the largest force we had ever deployed against a Category 0 world, but only because the Conclave wanted a dramatic, fast victory to distract our citizens from economic troubles at home. We sent enough firepower to crack a continent. Looking back, we should have sent enough to crack the sun. It would not have mattered, but at least it would have shown we understood who we were dealing with. The fleet arrived in the Sol system and broadcast our standard subjugation demand in every human language we had decoded from their radio signals. Surrender, kneel, serve, or be reduced to ash. For 11 hours, there was only silence. Then, a single transmission came from a place on the surface, called Geneva. It was in Galactic Common, our language, spoken with perfect grammar and no accent. These beings had possessed our language for less than a single day, and they spoke it as if they had invented it. The message was short. They said they declined our offer. They told us we had 72 hours to leave their system. After that, they would consider our presence an act of war and respond accordingly. He ordered the orbital guns to fire on a coastal city as a demonstration of our power. The shots never landed. The energy beams left our weapons and simply vanished. Not deflected, not absorbed by any shield we could detect. They just stopped existing. The city below was completely untouched. Children were still walking to school. For the next 72 hours, Admiral Thovan tried 11 more times to fire on the planet. Every single attempt failed in exactly the same way. Our sensors detected no shield generators, no defense platforms, no energy signatures of any kind. It was as if the laws of physics themselves had decided not to cooperate with us. And during those 72 hours, the humans did nothing. Absolutely nothing. They went about their lives as though 4,000 warships were not hanging above their world. Lights turned on and off in their cities. Their vehicles moved through their streets. They ate their meals and went to their beds, and woke up and did it again. They were not afraid. They were waiting. 72 hours. Not 71. Not 73. They had told us exactly how long we had, and they meant it to the second. These were not imprecise people. When the deadline passed, Admiral Thovan ordered a ground invasion. 2 million soldiers began dropping through the atmosphere in armored pods. They expected to find panicked, screaming primitives running through the streets. They found empty cities. Every single human settlement within our landing zones had been evacuated. Perfectly. Silently. 8 billion people, and not one of them was where we expected them to be. It was as if the entire species had simply stepped sideways and vanished. Then the planet itself began to fight. Roads shifted beneath our soldiers' feet. Buildings rearranged themselves when no one was looking. Navigation systems failed. Squads walked in perfect circles for hours without realizing it. The ground moved, not like an earthquake, but slowly, deliberately, as though something underneath was rearranging the landscape like pieces on a game board. Communication channels filled with static that sounded almost like whispering. By the end of the first day, we had lost 40,000 soldiers. Not one of them had seen a single human. They were lost, confused, broken by a planet that seemed to be alive, and deeply unimpressed by their presence. Some units, driven to panic by the impossible things happening around them, fired on each other in the chaos. I was on the flagship when our science division finally pieced together what was happening. They called Admiral Thovan to the briefing room, and I followed to record the meeting. The lead scientist was shaking. I had never seen a Dorvathi scientist shake before. She told us that Earth was not a Category 0 world. It had never been one. The primitive signals, the chemical rockets, the internal wars, all of it was a mask, a performance, a costume worn by something so far beyond us that we had no framework to even understand it. Humanity had achieved what our scientists called a technological singularity, roughly 200 years before we arrived. They had developed technology so advanced that it had merged with their planet, their atmosphere, their biology, their very atoms. Their technology was not on their world, it was their world. Every grain of soil, every molecule of air, every cell in every human body was part of a single, unified, post-singularity intelligence network. They looked primitive because they chose to look primitive. They lived simply because they wanted to. The way an old master might choose to sit in a garden instead of building another palace. Not out of ignorance, out of a wisdom so deep and so old that we could not even see the bottom of it. On the third day, the humans acted. No fleets launched, no armies marched, no weapons fired. Every Dorvathi ship in the Sol system simply stopped working. Not destroyed, deactivated. Weapons went cold, engines went silent, navigation screens went dark. Life support continued, because the humans were not interested in taking lives. But every system capable of doing harm was switched off, gently, precisely, as if a calm hand had reached inside every ship and turned a single switch. Then a message appeared on every screen, every communication device, every personal terminal in the fleet. It was in our language, not modern Dorvathi, but the old tongue, the ancient dialect that had not been spoken in 3,000 years. It said this: "You were warned. You chose violence. Now watch what we choose." Admiral Thovan tried to activate the self-destruct. It did not respond. Nothing responded. He stood on a dead bridge surrounded by blank screens, breathing recycled air in the dark, and for the first time in his life, he had no orders to give. The humans did not need to fire a single weapon. They simply reminded our technology that it did not have to obey us. And our technology agreed. Then came the part that still wakes me in the night. The humans repaired every ship, fully, completely. They returned every soldier unharmed. They released every officer. They sent our entire fleet home. But each ship carried something with it, a data packet, encrypted in Dorvathi military codes that the humans should not have possessed, addressed to every citizen of the Ascendancy. The packet contained one thing: the truth. Every secret our government had kept for 12,000 years. Every atrocity committed during our conquests. Every genocide we had erased from the historical record. Every lie we had told our people about why we were destined to rule. Every murdered dissident, every falsified document, every stolen resource, every broken treaty, every hidden crime. I know this because I was the one who kept those secrets. I was the archivist. I maintained the Forbidden Archive, the most secure database in the Ascendancy, buried beneath a moon, protected by quantum encryption that would take a conventional computer the lifetime of a star to break through. The humans read it the way you might read a note left on a table. They did not even seem to find it difficult. They did not invade us. They did not fire on us. They simply told our people who we really were, and that was more devastating than any fleet, any bomb, any weapon ever conceived. The effect was immediate. The 42 species we had conquered rose up simultaneously. They now had proof of every promise we had broken, every massacre we had covered up, every treaty we had violated. Our military fractured overnight. Officers from the subject races, who made up more than half our forces, refused all orders. Entire battle groups defected. Our economy, built on exploitation and rigged trade agreements, collapsed within weeks as subject worlds cut all ties and seized our assets. Civil war erupted on our homeworld as our own citizens, horrified by what they learned about their government, turned on the ruling class. The Supreme Conclave was overrun. I barely escaped with my life. That is when I lost my fingers, crushed under the feet of my own people in the chaos. In 90 standard days, the Dorvathi Ascendancy ceased to exist. 12,000 years, 900 star systems, the most powerful empire the known galaxy had ever seen. Gone. Not conquered. Not occupied. Dissolved. Like salt dropped into water. The humans did not destroy our empire. They simply removed the lie it was built on. And without the lie, there was nothing there. There had never been anything there. That was years ago now. The galaxy has changed. The 42 species we once enslaved have formed their own independent nations. Some are doing well. Some are struggling. But none of them are in chains. The Dorvathi homeworld still exists. Our people still live. But we are a small, quiet civilization now. No empire, no fleet, no grand ambitions. We tend our gardens and try to remember how to be decent. And humanity? They remain on Earth. In their little solar system, living their deceptively simple lives. They trade with other species occasionally. They answer questions when asked. They are polite and kind and patient. But nobody visits Sol without an invitation. Nobody points a weapon in their direction. Nobody even raises their voice near human space. The galactic community has developed one rule that every species agrees on without debate, without discussion, without a single objection. Do not touch Earth. Do not threaten Earth. Do not even think about it too loudly. I have spent years trying to understand what the humans truly are. I have a theory, and it frightens me more than anything else I have ever encountered in my long and broken life. I believe that the humans are not simply the most advanced species in the galaxy. I believe they are the only advanced species. The rest of us, the Dorvathi, the other empires, the elder races who pride themselves on their ancient wisdom, we are all still children, playing with warships and conquest like small ones swinging sticks and pretending they are swords. Humanity grew up, and adults do not fight children. They discipline them. Firmly, once, and then they go back to tending their gardens. I am the last archivist of a dead empire. I have no power, no title, no home. I have only this record, and this truth. They are not angry. They are not vengeful. They are not cruel. They are patient. And that is the most terrifying thing in the universe. Do not go to Sol. Do not test them. Do not let our story become a prophecy for your own people. They gave us 72 hours. They may not give you any.